Hello and welcome to the Capitol Report on NTD Television. I'm Steve Lance. Another battle setting up on Capitol Hill appearing to take shape, this time over where your tax dollars should be spent. NTD's congressional correspondent Melina Wisecup is following this. So Melina, it looks like some of the more fiscally conservative Republicans are trying to put pressure on members of their own party. What can you tell us?
A group of Freedom Caucus members are putting pressure on their Republican colleagues to vote for spending cuts much steeper than what is allowed through the Biden-McCarthy debt ceiling deal. Today at a press conference, they specifically called out some Senate and House Republicans for being okay with spending more money, especially with regards to emergency spending and Ukraine aid. Now, the overall goal here is to put pressure on Speaker McCarthy to stick to a deal that he made with Freedom Caucus members back in January to return government funding back to pre-COVID levels, and this group is making clear that they're not going to back down.
On average, we spend about $125 billion more every month than we bring in revenue. We're reminding our leadership, you need the votes.
Most of the American people won't even miss if the government is shut down temporarily.
They want to keep spending under $1.47 trillion. So to try to make sure this happened, they asked leadership to see all 12 appropriations bills, that is one for every area of government where that money is spent. I asked what specifically they'll be looking at.
When you ask taxpayers to pay for abortion, when you ask taxpayers to pay for transgender reassignment surgeries and or treatments.
And even if they are able to get their way in the House, this still creates a conflict with Senate Democrats. And the Senate right now is already working within spending caps much higher than where the House is working at. So with both chambers leaving for their August recess next week, this really sets up a stressful September with just a few short weeks to take care of all of this. Reporting from Capitol Hill, Melina Wisecup, NTD News.
NTD's Melina Wisecup at Capitol Hill. And House Speaker Kevin McCarthy today explaining what he meant when he said the allegations against President Biden may rise to the level of an impeachment inquiry. The pressure from Republicans on Biden is growing as more corruption allegations are coming to light. NTD's Arian Pazdar has more.
House Speaker Kevin McCarthy was on Fox News on Monday talking about a possible impeachment inquiry into President Biden.
When President Biden was running for office, he told the American public that he's never talked about business. He said his family has never received $1 from China, which we now proved is not true. Hannity, this is rising to the level of impeachment inquiry.
While talking to reporters on Tuesday, McCarthy explained the difference between an actual impeachment and impeachment inquiry.
It's not impeachment. It allows Congress to investigate by giving Congress the full power to get the information they need. It's the way people should go about investigating.
McCarthy accuses the FBI of withholding crucial information from the IRS on Biden matters. He also referenced two IRS whistleblowers who allege government prosecutors slow-walked an investigation into Hunter Biden's tax crimes. He says the only way to find out more is by using an impeachment inquiry, which gives Congress the power to properly investigate. The White House on Tuesday commented on McCarthy's remarks.
That's for Republicans to decide. I'm not going to weigh in on what they may or may not do, or how House Republicans want to move forward. What I'm going to weigh in is how the president is going to continue to move forward for the American people.
Some now say impeachment is near, such as a South Carolina congressman on Tuesday.
And I think he's going to continue, and I think at the end of the day he will be impeached.
Back in May, Georgia Republican Marjorie Taylor Greene introduced articles of impeachment against Biden, however, without much support. On Tuesday, Republican Congressman Bob Good said the momentum might be changing with McCarthy talking about this possible impeachment inquiry.
When he does speak to impeachment, it carries a tremendous amount of weight, evidenced by the fact that you're asking about that.
You think the ground shifted on that a little bit when he opened up the door on this?
I don't think there's any question that him speaking to that has caused a paradigm shift.
However, Punch Bowl founder Jake Sherman later tweeted this: McCarthy just told me he's not going to start an impeachment inquiry this week. At the end of this week, Congress will go into its annual recess and only return in September. Arian Pazdar, NTD News.
President Biden pushing health insurers to expand coverage for mental health issues. The administration saying its efforts could benefit millions of Americans. NTD's R-S.C has more from the White House.
The White House says millions of Americans are paying high fees for out-of-network mental health services they need, and President Biden says that needs to change.
Right now, for millions of Americans, mental health care and treatment for substance abuse is out of reach. Talk to young people. They'll tell you there's a serious youth mental health crisis happening right now in this country.
As part of its mental health push, the administration on Tuesday proposed a new federal rule that will require insurance companies to provide the same benefits for both physical and mental health care. And President Biden says the two are the same.
I don't know what the difference between breaking your arm and having a mental breakdown is. It's health. There's no distinction.
The National Institute of Mental Health says more than 1 in 5 adults in the U.S., or 58 million people, experience mental health illness. But such a massive topic could also get controversial when it comes to how the administration defines mental health care. For example, a senior health official in the Biden administration said this last month.
For our youth and adults, gender-affirming care is health care. Gender-affirming care is mental health care, and gender-affirming care is literally suicide prevention care.
And such narratives are prompting pushback from some conservatives against the administration's mental health push. The group Moms for Liberty responded to President Biden's latest announcement by saying mental health care is health care, and that's why it has no place in public schools. Reporting from the White House, R-S.C, NTD News.
The Young America's Foundation has kicked off its 45th annual National Conservative Student Conference right here in Washington, D.C. What's the current state of traditional values in the United States? NTD Sam Wong has more.
Here at the Young America's Foundation Conference, students are gathering to discuss conservative ideas while welcoming their favorite speakers to the stage. British theologian Carl Trueman told me that he is encouraged to see young people finding their way to honor histories and traditions.
So I'm encouraged that at least among some sectors of young people, there seems to be a realization of the importance of history and a desire to recapture something of that.
Former Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker said that the right to worship keeps traditional values alive, and it will continue to inspire younger generations for years to come.
Well, I mean, I think traditional values in the sense of God and country. You know, my God happens to be related to Jesus Christ, but it could be anyone that someone wants to worship here. And I think those sort of things we're certainly talking about to inspire the next generation on.
So does traditionalism still hold sway in the hearts of American youth? I spoke to some young people on the ground, and here's what they told me.
I don't think it does a whole lot.
I think it's dying slowly and steadily. I mean, you look at it nowadays, it's always feelings this, feelings that. It's not really how it was always.
Traditionalism and meritocracy, like what Elon Musk has done. If we bring back meritocracy, then given that traditional value, then things will look good.
In the face of an ever more polarized nation, how can people come together from both sides of the political spectrum? Here's their answers.
Free will reaches across all religions, and also free will equals consent.
I think just having genuine conversation and being able to listen to one another.
Like, you can't have the leaders of either parties just bashing each other. It's going to take a lot, but they just need to realize, you know, come together, do what's best for the country.
Reporting from Washington, D.C., Sam Wong, NTD News.
Thank you for watching the Capitol Report. If you want to see our full broadcast, check us out at epochtv.com.